Okay, folks, insanity incoming. Folks, our TRKA squeeze play has now broken out to yet another new cycle high. What is next for it? We're going to show you the data, my latest projections, what to know heading into this weekend. Is TRKA a good setup still, and can it still hit the $1.27 a share price target, which we forecasted a few days back? We're going to go through all of this, and you be the judge, and of course, always do your own due diligence, but I'm going to present you what I think you should know. Okay, so the TRKA squeeze play has successfully made yet another new high this morning, getting to 59 cents at highs as I was shooting this video. Now, for full context, as you know, this is a stock that we've been very adamant. We've been little adamant Adams about covering this. We started focusing on it on the channel, deeming it the play for the week on Sunday night when it was trading at about 31 cents a share. We covered the price targets on Monday. We covered the incoming take profit cycle and incoming surge on Tuesday. It then had its take profit period and bounce and proof of concept on Wednesday. And then today, Thursday, it broke to 59 cents. This has been a pretty by the books play so far, but I believe there's more to go. My original price target is 127, and I continue to see that as the operating thesis. But first, I just want to go ahead and say, I know we get a lot of folks complaining that we keep a lot of the best plays for the Zip Trader U briefings, but that's not true. When we find a play with a longer winded setup like this one, we'll be happy to cover it on the channel in depth, and we do. And these are usually the squeeze plays, right? Because they tend to last a little bit longer, something like a TRKA, a GNS, so on and so forth. It's just that oftentimes with a lot of the plays on catalysts that actually drop in the pre-market, well, those reactions, they don't last as long, and so by the time the evening video rolls around, it's already too late. And so when it comes to a lot of the catalysts, we have to turn it into a reflection and a case study and a lesson instead of a new call out. For example, you look at the OSHA play last week, it had a great catalyst in the pre-market where they announced pretty exciting news about killing glioblastoma cells and melanoma cells, and since it came out in the pre-market, it was the perfect setup for the morning briefing. We briefed on it at about $5.90 a share, and it ran to $26.59 at highs that day, which was about a 350% run briefing price to highs. Obviously, we've talked about this play a lot, and it was a lucky run, no doubt. But again, by the time evening rolls around and it's time for a YouTube post, well, the run and reaction is almost always already done when it comes to some of these really, really big runners. So again, it's not so much that I'm trying to hold the best plays behind a paywall, even though we'd love to have you in our program. The truth is, it's just the dynamic of how the market is working right now. If you are someone looking for pre-market research on catalysts each morning, you either got to join us in Zip Trader U or look for them yourself, right? Now, if you're diligent and you listen to some of the recaps on the channel and you make a spreadsheet of all the different trends that are working and different patterns that you can spot, you may be able to save yourself the Zip Trader U membership fee. But we do our best every single day in the briefings to present our findings, so you'll likely find that it's worth the money if you do join us, and we have extended our OSHA coupon code another 24 hours, so it's not too late to get the 50% off the program. But in terms of plays that are actually showing proof of concept and are staying relevant day over day and perhaps week after week, well, TRKA is one of the best right now. And right now we are sitting on the situation where short interest has continued. It's continued climbing to the extent that now we have officially crossed the 100% barrier and are now seeing an estimated 113% short interest as a percentage of free float. Just insane. And this means what? Well, it means shorts have not started net covering yet. They are still adding on to this disastrous bet. They are still selling more and more shares short, thinking they're going to make a ton of money immediately, when in reality, hey, this is making it a lot riskier for them. And a lot of people are saying, Charlie, TRKA has already squeezed. That is not true by definition. This run has not been a short squeeze because guess what? The shorts, again, have not been squeezed. They haven't started covering. You'll likely see the biggest upside realized when they start covering. Even when just a few of them start covering, that's when you start seeing a squeeze happen. I expect the biggest runs to be ahead of us, not behind us. And the reason for that is specifically because that is what we've seen in the past. This is a substantiated conclusion. This is literally what happened last May when short interest was way, way lower and the setup was way, way worse. Midway through that rally, short started covering and boom, it accelerated the move. But do you know what the short interest was back then? Well, this little drop was from about 14 to 8%. That's literally nothing. Now short interest is at about 113% according to Ortex. Imagine how much firepower will be unleashed even if you only got a similar proportion of shorts covering. The drop from 14 to 8% is proportional to a drop today from like 113% down to 79%. So again, that's going to have a much bigger impact, even if it's just proportional to last year's squeeze, which again, it shouldn't be because this time around is a lot tighter of a battle. But anywho, Charlie, practically, what are your thoughts heading into this week weekend? Well, there's very, very few times where there's not a massive risk of a sell-off around a weekend. A lot of people like to take risk off the table before the weekend starts, and you just don't know what's going to happen in the 2 days prior to the next market open. 2 days of no market can really take a lot of the excitement away from a stock and completely choke it. Even if stocks close strong into the weekend, a lot of the time, they'll just get hit with a pre-market panic on Monday morning. So my thought process on TRKA over this weekend, well, it's probably more likely than not to see some form of a sell-off between now and Tuesday. Perhaps that starts tomorrow, Friday. Perhaps that's on Monday. But that's going to be the next shit test for this stock. Yes, TRKA passed the last shit test, but we've got this as the next one. This weekend is going to be the next shit test. And if it passes the shit test, oof, folks, you're going to see a lot of people shiting up a storm. If markets watch this sell-off and then once again do a bouncy McBouncy from that sell-off early next week, it's then showing the ability to not just keep momentum alive for a week, but also over the weekend. That is a huge feat for such a small cap company, such a hypey small cap heavily shorted company. It's very, very rare that that would happen. That's something that kept GNS alive, one of a few factors that kept GNS alive. The fact that people continued to be excited about it over weekends. You had 2 days where people weren't talking about it, and then all of a sudden, the next week, it would break out again. Talking a couple days ago about this idea that because short interest is so high, and now it's even higher at about 113% of free float, that at some point, you're going to hit peak pain for some of the riskier short sellers, and they're going to start the domino effect of short covering, which again is buying back shares, right? You start buying shares. That's how it works. Now, I don't know where that peak pain point is. I would have thought 50 cents would be one of the pain levels, but shorts didn't cover today, so that can't be it. So maybe it's 60, 70, maybe 80 cents a share, somewhere there. And that means when you're watching the stock, the most important areas to watch are when it starts really breaking into those levels. The higher the level, the more likely we've hit those pain points, and the more likely that you'll see shorts start covering and accelerating the already present momentum. And truth be told, folks, we can speculate on the pain points of the lovely short sellers until the cows come home. But we don't have the actual data that tells us exactly where shorts will hit max pain and start the capitulation process. I wish I could call up my dwarf friend, Mr. Dwarfio, and ask him when the shorts will cover, but I've already tried that multiple times, and apparently being physically short and shorting stocks are not related, and he's getting really, really annoyed with me. So I'm not going to try that again, sorry. But what we can do is get an idea of how bad of a situation these shorts are in and come to a good guesstimate. If you look at this price point here on February 17th, the stock was trading at 22 cents a share, and you had short interest at about 50% of free float. And now it's March 2nd, and where's the stock price? Well, it's in the 50s, folks, more than 2x the price at the previous point that we were just talking about. So let's just go ahead and say for simplicity that the average short price at this point in February was 22 cents flat. Again, this is for simplicity. In reality, the average short price was way, way lower and thus way, way riskier, but let's just say for simplicity, 22 cents flat. Well, about half of the short interest came at that point. So that means around half of the shorts are down about 100% on their position already. If you short one stock at $1 and it goes to $2, you're now 100% in the negative. And that's exactly what has happened to almost half, if not more, of the short sellers. And if the price continues going up like it has been, you're going to get very, very quickly into a point where you're sitting on 200, 300, 400% of losses. At some point, there has to be a max loss limit where shorts are preset to cover, because otherwise, short sellers would be exposing their entire fund to unlimited losses. Now, is one small cap stock hitting them with a 100% loss a big deal for a big fund? No, of course not. But stocks getting 200 to 300% losses and continuing to balloon are very, very toxic and risk contaminating the entire portfolio. So they have risk management protocols in place to prevent that from happening, which means closing out of the position, which means buying back shares to cover those shorts. So again, if you see the stock continue its overall momentum, that doesn't mean it's not going to have sell-offs here and there, but if it sees its overall momentum continue, and I suspect it will, then I think a lot of shorts are going to rapidly start cracking. They're going to be little cracky McGee's, cracks everywhere. And that means somewhere in the next maybe 5 to 6, maybe 7 trading days, you're going to see a very, very fun time, in my opinion, based on the current setup. Now, if you want to see my full due diligence on TRKA, I highly recommend watching these 3 videos here. Starting from the first one, we go through crucial aspects of the play, which give you the needed context to really understand what's going on behind the scenes here. Things like the dilution withdrawal, the upcoming earnings, the business itself, the buyout and rumor possibilities, and so on and so forth. Things that you probably want to know if you're thinking about playing the stock or simply want to learn from this particular case study. Anyways, that caps off today's video. I hope you enjoyed it quite a lot. If we earn that thumbs up button, make sure to hit that. If we didn't earn it, well, I don't know what to tell you. Just come back next time and maybe we'll earn it that time. Maybe. I don't know. And a final reminder, our OSHA 50% off coupon code on ZipTrader was just extended 24 more hours. So if you want to take advantage of that, make sure to do so as soon as possible. And we'll see you in tomorrow's morning briefings. And if not there, well, we'll have a video for you tomorrow night as well on the channel. So looking forward to seeing more of you.